Hey guys.
Hey, good evening, everybody. We're going to give it just a couple seconds until the last few students
You're muted.
pull in. Awesome. Well, good evening. My name is Zach Dorcas. I'm one of our admissions counselors here. And thank you guys all for coming to our first Q&A with UNCA. I am also an alumni, so I'm very glad that I'm able to kind of start this off. I was a history major when I was at UNCA, but because of how open our arts departments are, especially the music, I was able to get very involved with the music department. So it's got a special place in my heart whenever I get to talk about it and share that with students. We're going to get started with some questions. We have a list that you guys submitted whenever you were registering for the Q&A. However, if you guys would use the Q&A button at the very bottom of the screen, you can put in questions right now that you would like answered, and we'll go with the ones that you're putting in right now first. And if not, then we'll move to the ones that we have from your registration. But we do ask that you use the Q&A section, not the chat section. And before we get started, if we will just have our professors go around and introduce themselves, that'll be our panel for the night. Fletcher, if you would like to start us off.
Sure. So my name is Fletcher Peacock. I'm in the music department. I'm the wind ensemble director. I do the basketball pep band. I help with the audition weekends, and then I do theory and oral skills, and trombone lessons. So.
I could go next since I'm music too.
Yeah.
I'm Carolina Perez, also in the music department. I'm teaching primarily music technology classes. For anyone out there who's interested in music technology, I'd love to get your questions.
My name is Robert Dunning. I am in the art department. I'm the printmaking professor. I teach all levels of printmaking, as well as foundation drawing and two-dimensional design. I've been at UNCA in the art department for over 30 years, so I know a lot about the school, and I think I can answer a lot of questions.
I'll go next since I'm also affiliated with the art department. I'm Laurel Taylor. I teach art history in the art and art history department, teach a variety of courses from surveys to capstones. I also run a archaeological field school in the summers that we have a lot of students from all over the university participate in. And maybe in particular for this audience tonight, I'm one of the teachers who helps students find internships in the arts in the area.
Hi, everyone. My name is Will Revere, and I'm from the English department at UNCA. I've been here since 2016 and teach a whole range of classes in the literature department, from introduction to literature, first year writing, all the way up to upper level seminars. I'm doing a class right now on apocalyptic fiction. So yeah, happy to talk with everyone tonight.
Awesome. So we've got some questions coming in, and we'll move as we go through them. I will answer the questions, and then professors, if you would like to answer it, go for it. Some of them are going to be very specific to specific departments. Some of them will be a little more broad. But the first one is if we have any sewing programs at UNCA in our arts departments.
Did you say summer programs, Zach?
Sorry, sewing.
Sewing.
Yeah, so
I can answer that. Not an official program that I know of, but Jackson Martin, our sculpture professor, does a lot of sewing in his artwork. He sews all kinds of different materials. So we do have students who use sewing in their work.
awesome. And for our next one, what music clubs do you have, and are there any clubs with a focus on contemporary music?
So we have a music club that is headed by our professor of music theory in our department, Christine Boone, and it's called the Music. Fletcher, correct me with this name because I don't know if it's all ands. Music and Life and Culture, or Music in Life and Culture.
In Life and Culture, yeah.
Music in Life and Culture Club. They meet weekly and do all sorts of projects that end up showing up on our walls, on our social media. It's a very active club with a lot of enthusiastic members, and they cover a wide range of things. It's a very general, like, music lovers club. We also have a cappella groups in the university that also cover a wide range of genres and perform all of these a cappella. And then we've had in the past a drumline group of students as well. And we're kind of waiting on a new student to take on the leadership of that club.
And not a club per se, but both the pep band and almost all of the ensembles are open to the whole university campus, whether you're a major, not. Some of them are auditioned, some of them are not. So they're not clubs, but they're open to anybody.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And that kind of answers the next question. But if there are clubs that are only offered to specific majors, or are clubs open to everyone, we heard a little bit from the music departments. Professors from other disciplines, can you talk to kind of the clubs or different ways students can get involved in your departments?
Yeah, I'm happy to take a stab at it. So we have a literature club in the English department, and it's open to majors and non-majors. We have a lot of minors, and I'm kind of a big fan of the minor English minors, but also folks who are English majors and minor and things like new media and environmental studies and a whole range of things. So yeah, it's open. We've got a good, lively group. It's one of those things where there's we get good student leadership, and then you're there for a while, and then there's kind of passing of the baton, and so that's where we are now. But lots of events. Pre-COVID, there used to be kind of more outing type events, but in the last couple of years, there have been literature cafes. There have been creative writing workshops. We brought in speakers, book sales and service projects and all those kinds of things, but basically people who love to read. Movie nights. I know there was a big Halloween movie night, Valentine's Day movie night, things like that. So it's just kind of a good social outlet for folks who are interested in all kinds of literature, storytelling, film. So yeah, that's an option club-wise. I'll also just put a plug in. We've got a journal, an undergraduate journal in the department called Headwaters, which is a great opportunity for our students both to be involved at the professional editorial level, doing internships. So if you're interested in editorial work, this is a great way to get some experience doing that, but also to submit your work, your poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, and then visual art as well. So we've had all sorts of photography and pictures of sculpture and that sort of thing included in the journal too. So it's UNCA's Creative Arts Journal.
Awesome. What kind of projects are done in the sculpture concentration?
That's a pretty big question. I don't know that I can really answer that. We do. I'll give you I think there's a sculpture Instagram page. Laurel, do you remember?
It can be accessed from the link that you put into the chat, I think.
Okay, so the best thing to do would be to look at the website, which I put in the chat. There's a lot of student work on the website, and then there's several Instagram sites associated with our department. There's STEAM Studios, there's printmaking, there's a general art department Instagram. and maybe another one, but there's several. So that would be the best thing to do. Jackson Martin is our main professor. Brent Skidmore is also there. Matt West is there. So we have 3 professors teaching sculpture. It ranges from fabric to cardboard to concrete, wood, metal, you name it. We can do it. Okay. And if you've seen the new building and the new facilities, plus the STEAM studio, which is near campus, anything is possible. And I'm not kidding about that.
Awesome. We've got 2 questions that are kind of similar, but do you have to apply to be an arts major or submit a portfolio to get into those art classes, or can you just join those programs, and can you take those classes if you are in another major? I know that's kind of allowed, so you can split that up however you want.
You can take art classes. You do not have to be a major. We do have prerequisites. So without special permission from a teacher, you would have to begin with the foundation level classes and then work your way up from there. I have 3 or 4 students in my beginning printmaking class that are seniors, and 3 of them are not art majors, but they wanted to take my class at the end of their UNCA experience, and I looked at their artwork that they had done on their own and decided that they could do well in the class, so I let them in. So it's a permission of instructor decision. So, but no portfolio requirement.
I think there was a couple questions going into the chat. If you guys are putting questions, please put them in the Q&A, because the Q&A will keep them at the top so they don't get buried with other questions. So if you want to put those in there. But we had a couple questions about transfer credits for art courses and AP art. Are you guys able to talk a little bit about how those transfer over and if they're applicable to the program?
I can speak for the survey art history courses are ones that are required for both the studio art majors and for the art history majors. And we do accept AP credit for those.
I'm sorry. We do have some AP credit for foundation drawing, I believe. It's been a while since I've looked at that, but I think it's you have to make a 5 on the AP exam to get credit for a foundation course. It would be either 2-dimensional design or drawing, foundation drawing. What was the other question related to that? Can't remember that.
Just about transfer credits as well, and then the AP credits.
We have a North Carolina agreement with all of the community colleges. So if you take community college classes in North Carolina, they count at a certain level at UNCA. So yes, you can transfer credit in. In addition, we have had students who have gotten the credit at community colleges, but haven't had the complete curriculum that we would have in the same course. So they've actually taken that course over at UNCA to make sure they're prepared for the upper level classes in that field.
Awesome, thank you. For our music people, could you guys talk a little bit about accessing practice space and music facilities as a non-music major? I know when I was a student, the practice spaces were kind of like first come, first serve, but I'm sure COVID has changed that a bit. So if you guys will talk a little bit about how that's working these days.
Sure, I'll take that one. The practice spaces in the music building in Lipinski are open, but there's only 3 practice rooms there. And at the moment, we're limiting those to wind or vocal practice. So like guitar, piano, those kind of things. For a wind or vocal practice session, you have to schedule that with our administrative assistant and kind of find one of the larger rooms with bigger ventilation at a time frame that it's available. There are practice spaces now in the basement of the library. They're labeled sound booths, but we've been using them as practice spaces on and off before COVID sometimes. I think as far as COVID protocols with wind instruments, I don't know how exactly they've dealt with that, but those are available practice spaces as well that are open to anybody. You just have to reserve them.
Awesome. Can you guys talk a little bit about ways that you guys have programs to connect students to jobs or internships and kind of get them prepared for post-college life, specifically with the visual arts such as photography?
So one of the things that we really try to do in the art department is to connect our students with internships in the community. You know, there's a really vibrant, dynamic art scene in Asheville, and we have a lot of different opportunities for students to participate in that. So we have students who intern at, for example, museums like the Asheville Art Museum or the Black Mountain College Museum, but also at some independent galleries. We have students who intern at Mission Arts for Life, an art therapy program. And these are opportunities for students to gain a lot of skills, but also to make some connections within the larger arts community. And so we do have students who, after graduation, end up working in galleries, or maybe taking their experience and starting their own gallery or their own business, or getting a job in a museum here. So we really encourage students to take advantage of the internships, and you can do any number of internships. We allow you to do 1 hour up to 4 hours, and you can do it at a variety of places. So it's a big focus for us to get our students out into the community and make those connections.
And I would add that we're adding internships every year as Asheville grows and as new artists come into the community. We do get asked if we have students who are interested in particular things. So if it seems like if it seems like an opportunity that will actually help our students, then we do create internships.
Awesome.
I wanted to ask,
talk a little.
sorry, I wanted to add one little extra thing about the photography part of this. As far as post-college goes, I'll try to be brief, but if you do a really good job on your portfolio while you're at UNCA and you graduate with a strong portfolio, then our faculty we're all committed. We're very committed to helping our students get into graduate schools, to get grants, to get jobs. So we're very involved in using our contacts to help our best students.
And I can vouch that that is a common theme amongst all our faculty. You're going to be very hard pressed to find a professor in whatever department you go, whether it's in the arts or in whatever, that the professor is not going to be able to or be willing to help you and use their own connections or just kind of give you the best advice that they can to get you into that next level, whether that be a career or grad school or whatever it might be. Would one of you be able to talk a little bit about our animation courses and what they're like and what level someone should be to consider taking them, or if there are prereqs for that program? I know it's a little more geared towards new media.
Yeah, I was going to say that we don't teach animation in the art department. The new media people do that. So that would be something you'd want to reach out and talk to them about.
And yeah, so for animation, like you said, through our new media department, I definitely recommend looking onto their website if you're interested in that. They've got a really cool program and it's growing every year. They have their own site that you can look at as well and see examples of students' work, what they're doing now, what they're doing post-grad. Thank you very much. The head of that department, Dr. Charles Oakley, is an incredible professor. He used to work for, I think like Disney Nickelodeon. I know that he worked on the like 2000 like early 2000s movie Dinosaur with the iguanodons, and some other cool projects like that. So you're able to work with someone who's been kind of at the top of their field. But yeah, definitely check out their website, and that'll have a lot more information of what kind of programs and work they're doing through there. How does the location in Asheville contribute to the classes? Are there any trips to the mountains or the city to learn about art or practice observational drawing?
Well,
Yeah.
we tend to take a lot of our students to the museum, the Asheville Art Museum. I know one of our professors, Susie Dittenbear, did a plein air course last year where she spent a lot of her time outside with her class. So I think there are many opportunities to really take advantage of where we are and our location. Robert, you may be able to speak a little bit more to that for studio as well.
I was going to mention Susie, because that's a part of her curriculum to take students out to do alla prima paintings. We do a lot of observational drawing. It's part of our foundation program. So we draw around campus and in the building. But yes, we do go out, mainly for the beginning classes around campus.
The next question is, what kind of internships are offered for journalism and creative writing? So Dr. Rivera, if you'd like to start that, but if someone from both English, music, and the visual arts could touch on what kind of internships students are typically able to get access to.
Sure, I was just grabbing a link here for us, which I'll put in the chat too, just a bit about our internships, but let me see if I can share this with everybody. Yeah, so we have an internship class in the major. Amanda Ray heads that up, and she's had a whole range of students doing all kinds of internships over the years. So you can get credit for the internship work, and you might be out working at a small literary press, or you might be working for the Western North Carolina Nature Center. You might be doing grant writing. The Blue Ridge Pride Archive, I know Amanda's done a lot of work with them. I'm trying to remind myself of some of the other things that, so, you know, all sorts of kind of organizations, small companies around town that require writers. I know we've had a lot of our folks doing that. I mentioned the Headwaters Journal on campus, where many of our students get some practical experience. So those are some of the immediate kind of recent internship experiences that come to mind. Yeah, and we also have a number of creative writers, of course, in the department who are working with students on an individual basis and are doing the sorts of things that we've been talking about, making connections with other writers and so on. So a number of our students have come back over the last several years since I've been here and given readings at UNCA, and they've gone off and have become published authors. And so that's been really gratifying to see a lot of our students come back and having gone out in the world and done the writing.
If someone from the music group, yeah, sorry.
You were asking about internships. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll speak a little bit about the area that I know a little bit more of, music technology. We have, I guess, partnerships and have sent a lot of students to work at different and for internships or just employment at different recording studios in the area. So in the past, there used to be a good amount of students who would go intern at Echo Mountain. During COVID, a new recording studio opened in town, Drop of Sun, and it's actually one of our alumni is the chief engineer there. So we've had a lot of students interned at Drop of Sun. Students also intern at Moog Music, which is headquartered here in Asheville. And Orange Peel, one of our live venues, has employed and also provided us with internships for our students. there's a company that does a lot of audiovisual work for live events, and many of our students have also gotten employment or internships with them. They're called Pisgah AVL. So our music technology students seem to have an easy time finding work around town, and their performing students also have an easy time, most of the time gigging in town. So actually performing in different venues. As you know, Asheville is a pretty active music scene. There's music in a lot of different pubs. We have a lot of pubs in town, cafes. So there's tons of opportunities for students to just create their music and perform with a group of students. And I'll let Fletcher say more if you have anything to add about opportunities for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Internships, I mean, when you go to Moog Music, there's a ton of alumni that work there, have interned there, and then transition to employment there. Gigs, I know before COVID, there was something like 400 musical events happening every week in Asheville. That slowed down a lot since COVID, but it's coming back. So, I mean, there's symphony gigs and jazz gigs and house band. I mean, whatever you want, whatever kind of music you want to play, there's probably a spot for that somewhere in Asheville. You just have to kind of ask around, and I'm sure someone will know. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for gigs and internships in the music area for sure.
And if someone from the arts department wants to touch on that real quick as well. Thank you, guys.
So I as I was saying before, we have a lot of different opportunities, you know, in the museums and in galleries. We also have opportunities in the Western North Carolina archives. We've had students who have worked there, one student in particular who was an intern there working on some of the artwork from the Black Mountain College, and she ended up using that experience to get a job at the Beckler Museum in Charlotte, for example. We have a student who worked on a conservation project at the Asheville Art Museum. Students who have done a variety of things. And one of the things that's really nice about the different venues where we have our internships is you can kind of tailor what you hope to get out of it with the internship. So if you're hoping to learn how to curate or to put up an exhibit, or if you're hoping to learn how to do social media to promote a gallery or conservation, there are all kinds of different ways to structure an internship. And so we, as I said before, we encourage our students to try to do more than one so that they have those opportunities to get different types of experience and also to make other connections within the community.
With how much community interaction there is, whether that be internships, field trips, going to classes, what kind of limitations are there if a student doesn't have a driver's license or doesn't have a car on campus or something like that? And how can you kind of help students still get involved through that?
One of the opportunities that we have in the art department is actually interning on campus. So Carrie Tomberlin, who operates our gallery, usually takes on 2 interns a year. And so in fact, we had 2 first-year students last year who interned with her. Neither one of them had a driver's license, and they're continuing now to work for her in paid positions. So I think there are a lot of opportunities for people who are in their first year, second year, or who just simply don't have the means to get off campus to still have that experience.
And also say, as a former student, there are a lot of ways to get around Asheville in general. We have our university shuttles that'll take you a few places around campus, but more than that, we have our citywide art buses, which is Asheville Reimagines Transportation, something like that. But it's the city buses, and you get a bus pass included with your tuition. So you can ride anywhere on that bus system for free. Just show them your student ID card with your little sticker on it. And also with how small our classes are, especially, you're gonna be able to meet people that also have access to cars. When I was a freshman, I didn't have a car on campus, and I mooched a lot of rides off of some upperclassmen in my classes. And you're gonna be able to meet those people that are able to do that. But we also have some cars available for rental through programs if it's a very dire need. through our transportation services. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of ways to get around that if you don't have access to a car or a driver's license. Can you guys talk about any specific work study programs? First off, in the art and art history departments, but then if there are any work study programs in the other departments as well.
I think we addressed that, or Laurel addressed that earlier. It's some of the internships are paid internships. We do have a work study helping out our office assistant. I can't think of any others, but can you think of any, Laurel?
That's what we've had in recent years. We've had different opportunities to work within the department.
Are there any other amongst music or English that you guys want to share?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the music ones. We have a few different work study positions in the music technology area. There are a total of 2 studio manager positions. So these are students that are actually playing a pretty vital role for us in maintaining our different studios, our electronic music studio and our recording studio. And they help us with the scheduling and reserving time in the studios, facilitating equipment checkouts and things like that. It's been a really great opportunity for students to grow into those positions and then be able to perform similar duties in a actual job at a recording studio. And then we have a position for live events manager. We've also had like not remembering the exact name of the position, but concert manager or something like that. So it was essentially like a stage manager for concerts. And the live events manager is a music technology position of helping provide sound reinforcement for all the live events that we have in our music department, which is a lot. There are weekly concerts that happen in the music department. So they help organize a team of students to provide all the different technical elements for the concerts. We also have a music theory tutor position. And this has become quite popular too. They have office hours and they get just a lot of students to come to the office hours to get help with music theory homework and oral skills homework. And sometimes I also notice that the music theory tutors just tutor people outside of those classes. So in areas of jazz harmony and improvisation and other types of tutoring. So they are kind of like the music go-to person in the department for students to feel comfortable to get help in that area. And lastly, I think I'm remembering them all. We have an assistant to our administrative assistant, and that position has some office hours as well, and is in charge of just a lot of organization around events, reservations of practice rooms, getting people access to different spaces in the building, answering questions. So they're like the go-to person for getting questions answered about the music department. Usually all of these positions are positions that students apply and interview for. And it makes it kind of a fun thing to also have to put together a resume, put together a cover letter, and feel like they're applying for a job. It's a really good practice for the real world.
So for English, the first thing that came to mind is the writing center on campus. A lot of our students work in the writing center. So you might work as a tutor. You'd be fielding appointments with fellow students and helping them work through papers, brainstorm ideas, things like that. So I've had a number of my students who've done that and really enjoyed it. It's on-campus work. So I'll put a link in the chat for that. And then apart from that, I'm not aware of any current work study positions in the department, except that occasionally there'll be professors who'll need a research assistant. who might be working on a grant or working with another professor on a particular project. I was doing this with a colleague in economics, and we were working on a grant proposal in the humanities and social sciences and thinking we need some research assistance. And so we're thinking we've got X amount of money for a student to come and help us with this project. So those kinds of things come up all the time too, and they can be really exciting and gratifying.
Awesome. And as a former student, for all the students on here, if you end up coming to UNC Asheville, use the Writing Center. It is, whether you're doing writing for English, history, biology, utilize that service because it is incredibly helpful. For art students coming in that are concentrating in photography, is it necessary for them to have their own laptop or tablet or piece of technology, or how are students able to get around that if they don't have access to that?
No, you don't have to have that. We have some brand new computer labs, Mac labs. So the students can use the labs for everything. And they can store their work on the lab computers. You know, I think that the upper level students that I have do have their own personal computers, and they go back and forth. They work at home sometimes, and I think there's a student level Photoshop that's inexpensive that some of them put on their computers, and they work at home, then they come in and they airdrop their stuff to the lab computers and continue working on it. So they work back and forth. I have students working on iPad Pros using Procreate and Photoshop and Illustrator. So it's you don't have to. It's just a matter of, whether you want to work all the time at school.
Wonderful. And I will say, for access to computers, in the bottom floor of Ramsey Library, we have our digital design lab, which is a room also filled with like 10 or so Mac computers that are loaded up with all the software you could imagine. And there are opportunities to work there. So if you really like digital design and are very comfortable with that, you can apply to get a job and help other students as they work on their own projects. So if you're interested in new media, photography, whatever that might be, it's definitely something worth looking into as well.
One other thing I wanted to add, I just thought of, just to tell all the participants, the new media department is on the 3rd floor in our building. So Owen's just gone through a $16 million renovation. So the new media program is state-of-the-art equipment in labs, computer labs, animation studios, the whole 9 yards. And we're on the 1st and 2nd floors, and we share students with them. I think that's becoming more and more popular, where students will come in and they'll major in art, minor in new media, or major in new media, minor in art. So there's a lot of flow back and forth, and it's great because the students in my class, there's always a handful that know the Adobe packages really well and are helping other students. So there's a lot of information getting shared.
How do you help students build their portfolio, and what are the kind of things you're looking like as students are building those?
Okay, I'll give you the quick version of that. So when you become an art major and you take your foundation courses, after that you begin taking, you choose a concentration, and we have all the different concentrations, everything you can think of. You then take 4 classes in that concentration, like printmaking 1, printmaking 2, printmaking 3, and printmaking 4. And in the 3rd and 4th level classes, that's when you start working on your portfolio. The first couple classes are skill development classes. We're doing a lot of, we really feel strongly about your foundation skills. So 3rd and 4th classes are portfolio building. If you're going to be a BA student, then you create a portfolio of 8 to 12 pieces in those last 2 classes, and that's reviewed by the faculty. It's a big deal to review, and if you're voted yes, then you get to graduate. those portfolios are also used to apply to the BFA program, which is an additional 2 to 3 semesters on top of the 4th level class. And that's where you can go into a lot more depth in your portfolio development. And those portfolios are typically much larger, much more accomplished, and are used to apply for graduate schools.
Awesome, thank you. Are there vocal music groups that non-music majors can audition for, like choirs or a cappella groups?
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, all of the ensembles in the music department are open to anybody on campus. Some of them are auditioned, some of them are not. Vocal ensembles specifically, we have 2 large classical choirs. So we have a university chorale that's open to anybody. You don't have to audition, you just show up, register and show up. Then you have the Asheville Singers, which is an auditioned choir. It's kind of like chamber singers kind of ensemble. Then we have Studio 18, which is an auditioned jazz choir, essentially, you know, jazz vocal ensemble, I should say. And then we also have 3, I believe, a cappella ensembles on campus that are separate from the music department. They're student-led. I believe you do audition for those, but it's a different audition process than the music department. So the music department ensemble auditions happen the first week of every semester. So that's when you would be placed into any of the music department ensembles. And I will say, as a vocalist, you could also be included in any of the jazz or contemporary ensembles as well. And Carolina might be able to add some more about the other ensembles.
Yeah, there are other ensembles that are smaller groups, like essentially like bands. So they could be based around different styles, jazz or rock. We have Afro percussion ensemble. All of these ensembles, or many of these ensembles, will have a role for a vocalist or several vocalists. So those can also be an opportunity for people to be part of a music ensemble and try out different genres that are not necessarily a choir or a jazz ensemble.
Awesome, thank you guys. You touched on it a little bit when talking about portfolios, about the BFA program. Is there anything else you would like to add about the application process for the BFA program and what students should be looking at as they come in as freshmen, if that's the track they're looking for?
Our most serious students are the ones that apply for the BFA program. It's we start working on the, talking to students about it in the freshman level classes. And of course, there's lots of upper level students around so the students can see what quality level is needed to apply to the program and to be in the program. And we are paying attention to students all along the way and helping to identify the ones who we think have all the characteristics to do well in the program. It's not only it's a work ethic, it's attitude, it is class participation, it's creativity, skill level. It's all of those things are part of our decision. You do use that portfolio that you create in the 4th level, and we evaluate that as a department. Art history professors are included in that, and we vote on who gets into the program.
Thank you. For our English departments, is creative writing the only form of writing offered, or what other forms of writing can students go into whenever they join the English departments?
Yeah, so if you're an English major, you'll take, well, 1 of 2 broad tracks, but really 1 of 4, because you can be a literature major, so you can be in English, specializing in English literature. or literature broadly, or creative writing, the creative writing track. And you can also add teacher licensure onto that. So we have literature with licensure and creative writing with licensure. We've also got a new professional writing minor that we've been, that's come into the works this year. So if you're creating a creative writing major, you'd be in all sorts of workshops. You'd do an introductory level class, creative writing workshop class, and then that would be the gateway into the major. And you take workshops in poetry, playwriting, fiction, creative nonfiction, so sort of all across the genres, and then on to upper level courses, and then you do a creative thesis. So I'm kind of more on the literature side in the department, but all of my literature classes, we do analytic writing about literature, but I also have creative assignments in all of my lit classes. So if you take a lit class with me, you're going to, I'll probably get some creative writing majors in there who want to kind of imitate some of the writing that we're doing, or try their own hand at something that we're reading. So that's an option as well. And we've now got, we used to have a senior level literature thesis, like the creative writing thesis, that everybody did. And so that's been phased out in the last couple of years, and that's now more of an optional thing for our students who are really interested in doing kind of scholarly writing. So if you really get interested in a particular writer's career or a particular historical period or genre or something like that, you might design a project your senior year and present at the undergraduate research symposium, do maybe like a 20-page paper, which can be a great kind of entryway into graduate school. And we've had a lot of students go on to graduate school in all sorts of fields, but many of them going on in literature, others library science, things like that. So yeah, multiple kinds of writing being done in the English department.
And are there any creative writing clubs where students can participate and get feedback and work with students if they're not an English major?
So the literature club, we were doing creative writing workshops there for a while, and I'm not sure if there's a current group. So there are kind of little clusters of creative writers who get together and do workshops. I'm not aware of a particular club right now, apart from the Lit Club that's doing that. But yeah, the Lit Club's actually a great kind of place to do that, and people just sort of shoot off and are sharing work together on their own. Yeah.
For our music department first, could you guys talk a little bit about what kind of one-on-one interaction students could expect? Are there opportunities for one-on-one instruction, whether that be tutoring, private lessons, what have it, and what they can kind of expect in terms of that?
You go ahead, Fletcher. I had trouble hearing the question. I don't know if I was the only person.
No, I heard it. Yeah, that's fine. So as far as private instruction, anybody who is doing a music major is actually required to take, depending on your major, at minimum 2 semesters of applied lessons. So that's you meeting with an instructor of your instrument or voice. You meet every week, and then have a applied hour, what we call it on Friday, which is student performances that are in this applied program. If you are a performance major like a BFA, you have to take 8 semesters, and a BA could be, I think it's 4 to 6 semesters. I believe it's 6. I can't remember exactly. So you have to take a lot of private lessons for a significant period of time. The Bachelor of Arts, kind of our general music program, it's only music tech is 2 semesters that's required. So then you can kind of transition more into the technical side of things. As far as other instructions, like we have a music theory tutor that holds office hours at least twice a week, so you can have one-on-one interaction with them. Yeah, am I missing anything about one-on-one instruction? It's kind of built into the curriculum with the private lessons, and professors are always available for office hours for individual help, that kind of thing. So it's a very individualized kind of process.
And for our arts department, or for our music department, sorry, what kind of instruction or opportunity is there for a student that either has no or more limited musical experience? Is there a way for them to start from the ground up, or do they need some sort of prerequisite skills going in?
All right. So the short answer is, for especially the Bachelor of Arts program, there really aren't any significant barriers. You still need to pass an audition into the program, but if you have some musical ability, you've played an instrument, you've sung, that audition should not be a big deal. For our other programs like the music technology and BFA and jazz and contemporary, which it's kind of our performance degree, those audition requirements get a little bit tougher. The music technology program is quite competitive, and the BFA and jazz and contemporary, as a performance degree, we expect you to have a pretty decent framework coming in. All that being said, our music theory sequence starts at square one. Like, we teach you notes, rhythms, everything from the beginning as if you didn't know it, just to make sure all the bases are covered. But it does move pretty quickly. So if you've never read sheet music, it's not a requirement, but it definitely is a hindrance if you've not done it before. So the short answer is, you want to do the Bachelor of Arts, you can come in at almost any level as long as you can pass a basic audition.
Wonderful, thank you. There are, from the questions submitted, a good amount of questions around the same theme of post-graduate opportunities. And I know that you guys have touched on those a lot through a few different ones. But could you guys talk just if there's anything else you want to add about what students are able to do with their degree after UNC Asheville, and what you are doing to kind of help support them through that? One of the questions specifically asks, what doors does a degree from UNCA open in the art field?
I hate to keep referring back to our website, but we spent about 2 years developing this, and it has so much information on there about that. There's a link to job opportunities and career opportunities for art and art history majors. It's a 2-page list of different things. I was thinking about how to answer this question, and it might be true for all of my colleagues. A student at UNCA can graduate with an art degree, or can graduate with a science degree, or any type of degree, and go completely in a different direction with where they go. And it's because we're teaching students how to think, how to write, how to think abstractly, how to solve problems. And how to speak publicly. So I've had students graduate in printmaking. I have one who's now a assistant district attorney down at the courthouse in Buncombe County. Went to law school after he left the art program. I've had students go into veterinarian school, landscape architecturing school. So it's a range of things. It has to do with what you do with your time at UNCA, and how serious are you as a student? When you take it seriously, a lot of opportunities are going to open to you at the end of it, and we are going to. If something comes our way, somebody calls us and is looking for something, or we have connections with grad schools all over the country. And if a student comes along and we go, hey, you know what, you might want to try this, we'll contact the person out there and say, you have to take a look at this student. So that's how it works. You work hard, you participate, have a great attitude, and the people at UNC are going to help you out.
And one thing, I think we can't emphasize enough is how important it is that as you're here, you use your time to make connections in the community, and we have former students who now are taking in some of our interns from UNCA and kind of helping them along. And so, we have people who go on maybe a more traditional path to an MFA program, but people who do all sorts of things, as Robert was saying, and that build on their skills that are built into the curriculum here in all of our departments, but also into things that they're learning when they're out in the community and making connections with other folks in allied fields, but fields that might not necessarily be something that's connected to the arts.
I'll add one thing to that. I don't think I understood when I went to a liberal arts undergraduate program how important that would be until after I left. Like the undergraduate liberal arts model that kind of just lets you spread out and explore a lot of things is a great opportunity. Yes, you're focusing on a major, but being able to explore other things and having the time to do it is a huge benefit. So I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, and at the risk of overloading y'all with links, I'll put up a link to some of our recent grads. And I mentioned that I've been here since 2016, so most of my experience with students who've left UNCA is they're pretty early on in their post UNCA careers, and but I've heard stories about all sorts of graduates in the program, and you'll see some of these here. And so, I mean, in my experience, a lot of these have gone to graduate school, but interestingly, they've gone to all sorts of different programs. So I'm writing a recommendation letter for a former student right now who's applying to a psychology program. Mentioned Master of Library Science program. A student a few years ago is now in a PhD program in comparative literature at Brown University. Just lots of graduates along those ways. Lots of teachers who are doing really great work in kind of the Asheville area. So yeah, those are some thoughts there.
Awesome. We have couple more minutes. One more question just came in the Q&A. Is studying abroad an option for art majors, and how did that affect their track for graduation?
Laura, you want to take a stab at that?
Sure. Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities to study abroad for, different lengths of time. We have students who go on summer programs. I've taken a lot of students across the university on my program. A lot of art majors, people who come to this field school and use their skills in photography or drawing, and who maybe don't want to take out a whole semester, a whole year to study abroad. There are a lot of programs that have equivalencies so that you can transfer some of your requirements, such as art history courses, back to UNCA. There are opportunities to, just do some of your general education requirements at different study abroad programs. So depending on how long you want to be gone, where you want to go to, and what kind of courses you want to do, there are certainly ways to work it into into your major while you're here.
Yeah, I've had a few students do it over the years, and you have to find the equivalent course wherever you're going, and then you have to get syllabus information and bring it back to us, and we have to see if it's an equivalent, and if it is, we can approve it for you. It's not a good idea to do it in your upper levels. It's more of a beginning first 2 years of your time for that to be possible.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We are right at 8 o'clock, so we're going to close it. Students, if you have more questions that you think of the next coming days, weeks, whatever it might be, please reach out to our admissions office. Me and my colleagues will be able to connect you with professors and departments that you're interested in. We'll be able to connect you with current students if you want to talk about or ask about the student experience, whatever that might be. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us throughout the submission process. we really appreciate you guys coming. We're really excited about your interest. And thank you so much to our professors on the panel. We really appreciate having you guys here as well.
Thank you, Zach.
It was fun, guys.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.